Thank you so much for being here with me today. My name is Miss Honor, and today we will be learning about this instrument right here. And hopefully have a really fun time doing it too. But before I tell you what this is, I'm going to play a very short song for all of you. And I want you all to put on your detective hats and turn on your listening ears because I want you all to think about what you think this instrument is. So here is the song. Didn't that sound really cool? So, what did all of you think? What instrument do you think this is? Well, I'm going to tell you, and this is a flute. Can everyone say flute with me? On three. 1, 2, 3, flute. Very good, everyone. Now, the flute is a part of the woodwind family because we use our air, or wind, to be able to make a sound. And then a really long time ago, flutes were actually made of wood. Now, they are no longer made of wood. As you can see, it's a lot shinier. And it's actually made of metal now, which gives it a very different sound than it would if it were wood. So, now that you know what the flute is made of and where it originated, I'm going to teach you all the basics of how to play the flute. First, let's start with how you put the flute together. Right now it looks like one very long tube, right? But it's actually made of 3 different parts: the head, the body, and the feet. So I'm going to quickly show you what all these parts do. So this is the head, and this is where we blow our air into the instrument to make a sound, like this. Isn't that cool? Then the second part is the body, which is the longest part of the flute and has the most circles, which are keys, which is where I put my fingers to be able to make different sounds. Then lastly, we have the smallest part of the flute, the foot. And I only use my pinky finger to use this part of the flute. But none of these parts can work unless they are together. Like our own body, it must be connected to be able to actually work right. For instance, if I didn't have the head on the rest of the flute, I wouldn't be able to make a sound. Or if I took the foot off, I would also not be able to make a very good sound either. So now that you know about that, the second step of how to play the flute is how to make a sound. Other instruments, you have to blow into it to make a sound, but the flute is very unique, and we have to blow across this hole right here instead. Isn't that strange? So making the right lip shape is very important to making a sound on the flute. So I'm going to teach you how to make this lip shape together. So first, I want all of you to smile and say ee. Let's try that again. E. Very good. Then the second part is we have to say Q and put our lips forward. So ready? Q. Very good. So to make a really good flute embouchure, we just have to put those 2 sounds together. So let's do it together now. E, Q. Let's do it one more time. E, Q. And now that you have this face shape, all you have to do is blow and you'll be able to make a flute sound, hopefully. So I'm going to demonstrate this. Like many of you can probably do this at home as well if you have a plastic bottle or a straw even. I'm going to use a glass bottle, but you can say EQ and blow over really any kind of bottle or straw, and it will be able to make a sound. So let's say EQ together, and I'll show you. Ready? EQ. Let's do it again. EQ. Isn't that amazing that you can make a flute sound out of a bottle? So, now that you know those two things, let's actually play the flute together. So I want everyone to pick up your imaginary flute, bend your elbows, lift your arms up, put it on your face, and we're going to play a very familiar song together. So be sure to wiggle your fingers along with me playing. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow! I can tell that all of you will be amazing flute players. So, I just played a very familiar song called Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. And I played it at a very normal speed, but I can also play it at other speeds too, such as faster or slower. Us musicians call this tempo. Can we all say tempo together? On 3. 1, 2, 3, tempo. Very good. So tempo is like the speed of the music. Like if you're in a car or a train, they can go faster or slower. And tempo is what tells us musicians to go faster or slower. So, to show you this, we're going to play a little game, and I want all of you to be ready to move your arms. So be sure that you have enough room to move around and that you're not going to bump into anything. So first, let's start moving our arms as if you're walking along, like this. And so keep moving your arms like this, and I'm going to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star at a normal speed. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Great job! So now we're going to do another speed. But this time, so keep moving your arms like this, but this time we're going to move as fast as you can. As fast as you can, so really move those arms. Amazing, so keep moving your arms super fast, and I'm going to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star again, but a lot faster. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Whoa, wasn't that really fast? Are your arms a bit tired now? Well, good thing that this next speed is going to be a little bit slower. So let's again do the walking speed, but this time I want you to move in slow motion. Really move as slow as you can. Try to move super slow. Very good. So I'm going to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star again, but this time keep moving your arms really slowly. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Didn't that feel really slow? A little bit sleepy? I know it did for me. So now we're gonna remember all 3 of those speeds because I'm going to try to trick you all by playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star at a bunch of different speeds or tempos. So first, let's review the different speeds that we just learned about. So first, let's start with the walking speed, the normal speed. Then I want you to move as fast as possible, really fast, and then move in slow motion. Great job, everyone. Thank you for remembering. So, as I said, we're going to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and I want all of you to change your movements whenever I change the tempo. Ready? So we're going to start at a normal speed, and then you switch the speed whenever I change the speed. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Amazing job, everyone. You really got those tempos really well. So for me, like tempo, another thing I really love about music is how it can create different pictures in your mind, as well as show feelings or even images of animals too. So to show you how this works, we're going to play a guessing game. And I'm going to play some short songs, and I want all of you to use your imaginations and try to think about what this music sounds like to you. So this first one is about an animal. So try to think about, while I'm playing this, what animal comes to your mind when you hear this? Wow, didn't that sound really interesting? So, let's think about what this could be. For me, it kind of sounds like a butterfly, but it could be very different for all of you. So, I'm going to tell you what the person who wrote this song wanted it to show. And he wanted it to be like a bird, sound like a bird. Can you imagine what I just played as a bird fluttering around? I know I can. So here's another song for you to think about. And again, I want you to listen really closely and think about what you imagine when you hear this. Sounded completely different, right? So let's think about what that song could be about. For me, I can imagine fairies dancing. But the composer actually wrote it about a goat, a dancing goat. Does that match up with what all of you thought? I know it didn't really match up with what I thought, but this shows how we all hear music differently, and we can all imagine different things, and that's perfectly okay. So here's the last example, and this actually relates to the story that I'm going to tell you in a couple of seconds. So here it goes. Try to think about what you imagine when you hear this sound. Wow, that doesn't really sound like a flute, does it? But it's telling a story about a train. Did you all think of a train when you heard that? It's okay if you didn't, but to me, it does sound like a train kind of chugging along. So, this was from the song The Great Train Race by Ian Clark, and he uses a bunch of interesting sounds to be able to create an image of a train. So, do you think a flute can sound like a train? I know I wasn't completely sure about that myself, but to show you how the flute can sound like a train, I have a very exciting story to share with you. It's a story about trains. I hope a lot of you like trains, so as I tell this story about a train, I want all of you to listen really well for the sounds that I try to make using the flute. So, are we ready to listen to the story? Be sure to turn on your listening ears, get really comfortable as I tell you the story of the Little Red Train. Little Red Train Race to the Finish by Benedict Blathwaite. Duffy Driver and Jack the Guard were fed up. "Those swish trains," said Jack, "they're taking over, and now they want the route to Barnacle Bay." "The Little Red Train will have nothing to do," said Duffy. The swish train drivers just laughed at Duffy and Jack. "Your train is old and slow," they said. "Everybody loves the Little Red Train," said Duffy. "It's not that slow." "Prove it then," sneered the drivers. "We'll race you to Barnacle Bay. Whoever wins the race wins the route." Duffy and Jack got ready for the big race. "We've got to win by miles," whispered the swish driver, "so no one will ever want to use the Little Red Train ever again." "All aboard!" Down went the flag. They were off. Puff, chuff, puff, chuff went the Little Red Train. Swish went the swish train as it sped past and out of sight. "Oh, rust and dust," said Duffy. But worse was to come. At the very first hill, the Little Red Train's wheels began to spin. "There's oil on the track," said Duffy. "I wonder how that got there." The passengers pushed the Little Red Train over the top of the hill. "We can still catch up," yelled Jack. But worse was to come. "Sheep on the line!" Duffy put on the brakes with a screech, and they stopped just in time. "I wonder who left the gate open," said Duffy. At the next station, the swish train driver had stopped for a cup of tea. He seemed very surprised indeed to see the Little Red Train. Duffy steamed past without slowing down. Chuff, chuff, chuffity chuff. enough, the swish train passed them again and disappeared into the distance with a great swoosh. "Oh, Coke and Clinker," said Duffy, but worse was to come. Suddenly, the little red train went off in the wrong direction. "Somebody switched the points," said Duffy. "But who?" Duffy put on the brakes and started to go back. "Whoa," said Jack. "Keep going. This is the old way to Barnacle Bay. It will lead back onto the main line and straight to the finish." So the little red train kept going. "Hold on tight," shouted Duffy. "There hasn't been a train along here for years," said Duffy. "Don't slow down," Jack shouted from his van. When they reached the main line again, Jack switched the points. Now the little red train was back on the right track. "There's Barnacle Bay," cried Duffy. "And here comes the swish train," yelled Jack. The roar of the swish train grew louder and louder. The little red train went faster and faster. Clickety-clack, 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 clickety-clack. But the swish train could not catch up, and the little red train won the race. "Hooray!" shouted the passengers. "Hooray!" shouted Duffy and Jack. Whoosh went the steam from the little red train. When the celebrations were over, Duffy, Jack, and the little red train headed home. "I think Barnacle Bay is my favorite place in the world," said Jack. "Me too," said Duffy, and he blew the little red train's whistle long and loud. Woo! Thank you all for listening so well, and I really hope that you enjoyed the story of the Little Red Train. I also hope that you heard the flute and thought of a train as well, because this really shows how the flute can sound like a whole ton of different things. Not just pretty bird-like songs, but it can also sound like a machine. So, after that story, we only have a little bit of time left together, so I have one more special song to share with you all. First, I want you to say choo-choo if you've ever ridden on a subway before. Well, I'm going to say choo-choo because I've ridden on a subway before too. And this song that I'm going to play for you is about a famous train, a famous subway train in New York City called the A Train. This song, called Take the A Train, was written by the composer Billy Strayhorn for Duke Ellington and his orchestra. So maybe some of you have heard this song before. It's a very familiar sounding song. So you will hear some train noises and effects as well as the song, which you will see 6 of me playing the song, which is going to be really crazy to see. So feel free to clap along to the video and let's say all aboard and take the A train together. Thank you so much for listening so well and clapping along together. Did you all enjoy taking the A train? I know I did. But sadly, it is almost time for me to say goodbye. But oh, did we have such a wonderful journey together today. We got to learn about the flute, about music, to see a train race, and even take the A train together. Isn't that amazing? We did so much today. Let's give ourselves a quick round of applause and a pat on the back. You were all so amazing, and I know I had an absolute blast, and I hope all of you did too. Thank you so much for being with me today, and hope to see you soon.